This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com. Let's talk about you. We know that you're not going to last too much longer with Impact here. You're at the next set of tapings, which happened immediately. But then you missed the next set of tapings because you and I were doing a podcast and we had already sold tickets and we couldn't really back up on that. And then you come in for another set of tapings, and Meltzer would write, Jim Cornette was among the many newcomers at the tapings this week. Cornette did TV appearances on the live show, seemingly as the new authority figure, replacing Bruce Prichard. That did an in-ring thing where Prichard announced that Alberto was suspended and voluntarily gave up the title, and that they were giving the title to Bobby Lashley, the previous champion. Cornette came out at this point after they'd been teasing a mystery guy was here. They ended up arguing, and Prichard, who was playing a smarmy heel instead of his prior babyface authority figure role, wanted Cornette kicked out. Cornette then revealed that Anthem had hired him and they were tired of self-serving people running the company. And he announced they were going to decide a new champion in the ring and not hand somebody the title, announcing a gauntlet match for next week's TV. This was taped on 8/17 and 8/24. Cornette then fired Prichard. Prichard had commitments as they were filming an episode of his podcast in a live location in New York over the weekend, and he'd made the commitment before these dates were announced. The way it was done on television led me to believe Prichard could come back as a heel feuding with Cornette. The way it was described to us is that Prichard is gone for now, given he wasn't back at the next tapings, and those won't happen until November. The angle seemed to leave it open that he could return, although one company source said he was done and another said he was done, at least for now. Talk to me a little bit about what happened, how you knew that they were going in a different direction, how that was communicated to you, because it's not going to be too long and you're going to start working with MLW and then fast forward not very long at all. And you're back with WWE. What a remarkable story, but let's talk about the end of Impact here.
Well, it really, a simple story is that we had New York booked. In New York, we had 2 shows booked back to back. And with those 2 shows, you kind of look at, okay, in 2 days,
you'll make more money. Yeah.
There's this opportunity to make this amount of money. And there's 2 days, there's this amount of money. It was a no-brainer. And I explained that I wouldn't be able to make those dates. So they came up with the idea to have Jim Cornette come in and be the interim, figurehead. Jimmy was supposed to come in until Bound for Glory, I guess it was, and then I would make my return then. We shot a bunch of stuff after the fact with me and Karen Angle, and I think we shot something with Jeff. We shot something else with Cornette and I backstage that was supposed to be played at a later date. None of that played. And yeah, it was amicable as hell. It was, we'll see you in November, see you in October, whenever the hell that date was. And that was the end of it. So I'd come home and I don't know, maybe a week or 2 after the tapings, and Cornette called me and told me, he says, hey, yeah, I just got off the phone with whoever he got off the phone with, and they told him that we were done. So we're done. I said, what do you mean we're done? He says, yeah. He goes, they told me they didn't need me for Bound for Glory, and they didn't, you were done, and so on and so forth. We're not even going to pay off this angle. Could you make Bound for Glory? Could we at least pay off the angle? I don't know. When is it? And I don't see why not. I'd be happy to do it. But he says, Corny just kept saying, we're done. I said, okay, well, I'll find out. So I called Jeff. Jeff was going through his own issues at the time with the company. And I reached out to Ed Nordholm. And Ed said everything except we're going to release you. He said everything except we don't want to use you anymore, something like that. Finally, I said, hey, Ed, And if you don't want to use it, just say you don't want to use me anymore, and send me my release, and we're good to go. No harm, no foul. If I can help you down the road, I'll be happy to help you down the road. But I've got this contract hanging out there. I've got no dates, and I've heard from your people that we're pretty much done. Just tell me I'm done, and send me my release. He said, well, if you want a release, you can request it, and I'll send you a release. So while I had him on the phone, I sent an email to Bob Ryder. Bob Ryder immediately sent me a release, still on the phone with Ed Nordholm. I got it, I printed it, I signed it, and I scanned it and sent it back. And I said, Ed, I've signed my release. Really nice to meet you. Maybe on down the road. Call me if you need me. And other than that, thank you very much. And that was the end of it. And Jeff called me the next day and says, what the hell? Oh my God, no, we're going to get this all straight. I said, if we get it straight, we get it straight. I mean, I'll sign another deal like I had before, but for the time being, I don't need this hanging over my head.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's worth mentioning, cause I know a lot of people will hear that and say, well, why would someone be so anxious to be cut loose? But the reality is, the podcast was, one of your best paying gigs in the history of wrestling. So it's not exactly as if, well, what am I going to do? It was just, this was a nice little thing to try and see if we could, let one hand wash the other and build together. And then when that didn't seem to be catching fire and everybody wanted to do something different, no big deal.
Right. And, it doesn't sound, but it was the most money I'd ever made in the business at that point, was all from the podcast and the live shows. So, to add anything onto that it wasn't that lucrative. It's like, okay, great. It was fun. I did it because it was fun and I love the business.
Yeah. The same reason you went to MLW. I mean, it's not like when you were helping Court out, it was the biggest paying gig you ever had. You liked pro wrestling. You liked contributing to pro wrestling, and you had fun with that. I'm sure we'll talk about it some other time. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.